Aloha, I am Dr. Eliza Kim, and welcome to my show, Everyday Wellness. The purpose of this program is to empower you and inspire you to nurture your soul and to take control over your health and wellness emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Today I'm very excited to introduce to you my yoga teacher, Mizuho Williamson. And today we'll talk about Ashtanga Yoga and how this relates to our daily lives and to our sports activities. So this is I started Ashtanga Yoga about a few years ago, and I literally walked into your studio really not knowing anything about Ashtanga. And I was told that it was power yoga, so I went into it just thinking that, I'm going to get a really good workout and it'll be interesting. Well, it turned out to be very, very interesting and fascinating. And the reason that I say it's fascinating is because of certain movements and the breathing techniques there is, in this Ashtanga yoga. It just was like light that went off on my head, and I was completely in love with this yoga. And I said, this is it. One of the things that really attracted me to this is that it has a very different type of breathing technique, and also it uses a lot of different type of spatial dimensions, meaning that many of these sports activities or many of the daily activities we do, requires more of a one-dimensional type of a workout. So that means everything kind of goes forward or backwards, this way. Well, this yoga literally incorporates everything, every movement, the rotational movements, the transitional movements, or translational movements. I mean, everything that you could possibly imagine is in this yoga. So welcome to my show, and thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Well, Mizuho-san, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into Ashtanga?
Yes, my name is Mizuho Williamson, and I'm from Japan. I have been living in Hawaii about 6 years. At the same time, I have been practicing this Ashtanga Yoga about 6 years. So I started this Ashtanga Yoga when I moved in Hawaii. So I'm so excited. I'm so honored to be invited to this show to share a little more about Ashtanga with you. So I started yoga at same as you. When I made Ashtanga, I felt like, oh my God, this is it. So I really fell in love. I have done a lot, like little bit different power yoga in Japan, and also I have a lot of dance background. I did a lot of jazz dance and also aerobics, and also a little bit kickboxing, a lot of different type of exercise. But when I came to Hawaii, I couldn't find good dance teacher here. Then one day I walked in studio and I took Ashtanga Yoga first time. Then I was like, oh wow, this is what I really want to do. That's how I started Ashtanga Yoga.
And did you find Ashtanga Yoga to be it's something that you could use on a daily basis, or was it something that you felt like, oh, it's just great exercise?
First, actually, I started as an exercise because it's very physical, as you see, very challenging physical way. So I thought it's great exercise. But soon I realized this is not only exercise, because like you said, it's connected to really deep breathing technique and really focus on one thing, that moment, the present moment. That's what we really don't do daily life, but we really need it.
Right, and I do believe that, and this is why I really loved about this yoga is it's so different than just the flexibility and balanced and coordination type of yoga. It really incorporated something that we don't do on a normal, on daily basis.
Yeah, but we really need it. But actually, power yoga is from Ashtanga Yoga. Power yoga is made in the States. Someone who saw Ashtanga. Ashtanga is from India, like 5,000 years ago. Then in the States, people kind of started power yoga based on Ashtanga Yoga. So a lot of movement actually very similar. But I'm not saying power yoga is wrong or anything. Power yoga is really great exercise, and also it has also a special movement too. But Ashtanga has a longer history and really, really meditative. So I think this is a little bit different.
Well, one of the part that really fascinated me about this yoga was, I would push through it like physically.
Yeah.
And I want to do these movements, so I'll just push myself. But then I realized, there's a certain limitation to it.
Yes.
Where I couldn't go any further.
Yeah.
Until I emotionally let go.
Yeah, right.
You have to surrender, right?
Yeah, the surrender is really light word, and actually I remember you said that when you start after like only few months, and I was sort of surprised because not so many people realize that so fast. Yeah, we want to push so hard. Especially the people who like Ashtanga have some kind of like athletic background.
Right.
So we're competitive.
Yes.
So I can do it. We can do it. Or she can do it, so I can do it too.
Yeah.
So we want to push. But if you keep pushing, you get injured. So at some point, like, you want to realize you have a physical limitation, but emotionally, spiritually, we don't have a limitation. So once you realize you kind of let it go, release it, then you see more, like you can do more actually.
Well, when I talk about, Ashtanga yoga to my patients, many times they say, well, I don't have the strength for it, or I don't have the flexibility for
Yeah.
it. So how did you, how would you recommend people getting into it, to gain more flexibility, not necessarily to start off with the flexibility part of it?
Yeah, actually, there are so many, it's really common question. Like I talk to people and, I cannot do yoga, not only Ashtanga, I cannot do yoga because I'm not flexible. But I always say, because you are not flexible, you should do it. Because like we want to be flexible. It's not to show off your body. It's more like to be healthy.
Right.
Yeah, and you are not get injured so easily like when you're flexible. So I talk to people, if you are not flexible, you should do yoga. And if you feel you're really weak or unhealthy, you should do yoga because it's the really easiest and the best way to be healthier.
So could people actually get injured with yoga if they just push themselves
Yes.
without really understanding how the sequences work or how to get into progress into the movements?
Yes, it's kind of like sad to say, but a lot of actually yoga practitioners get injured once or twice or more. I myself did it too, because I wanted to more. We all want to more and want to see how much you can go. So that's why it's really important to know about yourself and also to practice with the right teacher who know the body or muscle and stuff. And you can get injured, but you have to learn from there.
Okay, well, so far, I've been okay,
Yeah.
but I actually had an incident, where I was doing a headstand and I went over.
Yeah, you felt
Yes,
that.
and it kind of made me a little gun shy about doing headstands. But today we're gonna show with next actually at our next show
Yeah.
we'll show how to properly do
Yes.
the headstands.
Yeah. So speaking about headstand, I was really surprised. One of my students said one time she walked in the class and toward the end, the teacher said, "Okay, let's do headstand. Go ahead." And then the teacher didn't give them any instruction, but it could be really serious injury because headstand give you a lot of pressure on the neck and the shoulder.
Right.
Usually, I don't recommend anyone who has some injury or really pain here. So you got to be healthy. And also, there's a really right steps to do it. So in my class, never I don't let them kick up we can show in the next show, but you really need to be careful to do that because it's really intense posture.
Right, it is, and it really is something that a lot of people are very afraid of trying out, and I can understand why.
Yeah, but want to do it.
Yes, they want to do it, and
Yeah.
and it feels really good.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a sense of accomplishment, when you do headstands. Now, this yoga is not all about headstands, but I bring this because one of the things I've noticed about headstands is that it's not just about standing on
Yeah.
your head or your shoulders, but it really it requires a lot of core
Yeah.
muscles.
Yeah.
So we'll go at the end of the show we'll talk about about a little bit about the core, and then the second part of the Ashtanga Yoga show, what we'll do is we'll talk, discuss about the whole core and how we generate the energy and everything.
Yes, actually, people are surprised how you can be stronger doing yoga, because some people believe yoga is just, okay, relax, breathe,
Right.
feel comfortable. But this is small part of yoga, and yoga is so wide and so deep. And actually, you can get out of muscle.
Yes, that's for sure. So because the nature of my work requires me to work, a lot, like bending over. I'm always looking at my patients. I'm talking to my
true,
patients,
too.
right? And my arms are always forward like this. So there is something that I really embraced about this yoga, which was about the shoulder openings and the hip flexors.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely cover all this, but first of all, I wanted to talk about how Ashtanga may be different from how it started. I think you had mentioned a long time ago that it started as a basic foundational yoga.
Ashtanga is, I think, one of the oldest yoga from India, about 5,000 years ago. Well, I can't really talk whole history because it's like a few hours or maybe a few days. But basically, it's from Ashtanga, from India in Mysore. So people, Sri Pattabhi Joyce, we call him Guruji. He passed away a few years ago, unfortunately, but his grandson took over his place now. So he's teaching this Ashtanga Yoga in Mysore in India now. So it's very really basic. It's vigorous, but the sequence is very basic. And like you said, that out of a forward bending, but also shoulder opening, rotation, hip opening. Use whole body in a whole different direction. So actually, this was taught even for the people who have disease or like disabled people in India before. But when it came to United States or Europe, so people are more competitive. Then this is a very physically challenging yoga. So the aspect of this yoga has been a little bit changed. But originally, this is for everyone, any age. And then no matter what, like they're weak or they have disease, everybody can do it. There is a way we can modify. So according to your situation, your body. And then also the body, we have all different body. So people from India, skinny, long arm, long leg. So that's why they can do for this posture. But some of posture is pretty much impossible for us. But still, we can work on that, and also we can do similar, like a modified version.
And I do see that, because there are some people who have had knee injuries or different injuries. And there's actually a pregnant woman in our class.
Yeah.
And she's actually quite pregnant.
Yes.
And they're all doing Ashtanga Yoga, and there's different variations and different modifications that's done. And it's quite fascinating, how when I first started, I actually thought that I was pretty flexible. And I always thought that because, I've done martial arts for many, many years, and I taught. And then you always think in your head that that flexibility will always stay with you. But then I realized with everything that you do, there's definitely some hormonal changes with the aging process and with having a baby and all that. And I realized my body has gotten a lot stiffer. But I really did not know that until I tried your class.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. But yes, you can gain flexibility, but you also lose it very quickly. Like we age, like you have baby, and also how you walk, like you walk always like this. So I realized when I started to teach yoga, actually, I realized, wow, people's shoulder is like this. I didn't notice.
And, and the problem is, I see that in my office a lot, but I really could not really help them understand, why you have to open this up until I took Ashtanga. And then I realized, wow, this is a really huge problem. When people come in with shoulder issues, I really need to look at how the shoulder is biomechanically sitting, due to our daily work, such as, computer work, mouse work, right? So I've learned so much from you. And one day, I hope to become half as good as you are.
No, you will be. You learn really quickly.
But But it's I know that there's a lot of dedication on your part because I do see you, practicing it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm more of a recreational, yoga student.
Well, that's really good start because people start yoga or any kind of thing with various reasons. Like people come to yoga class, I want to lose weight, I want to gain muscle.
Right.
So, but anything is fine. But when you start feel like, oh, this has some benefit for you, for your health, your daily life, then we want to do more. So even like once a week, that's fine, but still you can get some benefit. So yeah, like it's kind of going back to whether some difference of Ashtanga yoga from other yoga. Is Ashtanga yoga originally we practice 6 days a week.
Wow.
So 1 day off. Traditional way is Saturday is off. But like now people take, maybe you can decide 1 day off. But I usually practice through Sunday through Friday, then Saturday off. So then then we practice same sequence over and over. So Ashtanga has 5 series. What you practice with me now is maybe a little more than half of first series.
Wow.
So most of people just practice first series or like whole life. And then like we teacher do maybe second series. So I'm like really the first part of third series.
Okay.
So my teacher like third or fourth, almost fifth.
Okay.
So then we practice same things over and over. Then 6 days a week. So then it's easier to feel your progress and your benefit. So that's probably the really big, unique part of Ashtanga yoga.
And I think if you really, really embrace this yoga, I think it's great, exercise program or spiritually and mentally and physically to do it on a daily basis.
Yes.
But for some of us who don't have every day to really practice this, and also personally I'm really big into getting my patients to cross train because not only a lot of them cannot do the same exercise all the time,
exactly.
well they won't even do exercise every every day, but the ones who do them, I realize they really need to have a benefit of cross training, and I thought Ashtanga was awesome. Absolutely amazing to add to the exercise programs they have.
Yes.
And this fits every athlete. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a triathlete or if you are just a walker, on a daily basis.
Yeah, some of my friends started to do Ashtanga yoga with me, and then she found out this has huge benefit for her running. She does a marathon. She did Honolulu marathon every year.
Right.
And then last year she realized, wow. So she usually has knee pain after she ran, but she didn't, and then she breathed really well.
Wow.
Yeah, she realized, wow, this is great. So some people do this Ashtanga yoga for some kind of the other activity, and some people do Ashtanga mainly Ashtanga. Then, the other thing is the sound.
Right.
So this is your choice.
Well, talking about your friend who was able to breathe better through a marathon, could you show us, demonstrate to us how the breathing is different from other yogas?
Yeah, this is called Ujjayi breath, Ujjayi pranayama. So you can do this power yoga or any kind of yoga. Some of yoga don't recommend you to do that, but Ujjayi pranayama, Ujjayi yoga is basically chest breathing. So when you run, maybe you do less belly. You're a runner, right?
Yeah, I run,
you breathe more belly.
Right.
So when you practice vigorous yoga like vinyasa flow or Ashtanga or power yoga, we don't want to breathe with belly because you want to balance, try to lift up, then open your chest.
Right.
So this is why we want to do this Ujjayi breath. So Ujjayi breath is doing a chest breathing and then close your mouth. Inhale from your nostril, then exhale from your nostril. The first step is like that. Then secondly, when you keep doing it, you started to hear some noise, sound, back of throat.
Right.
We call it a Ujjayi sound.
Right.
It sounds like wave sounds or maybe Darth Vader. So sometimes we say Darth Vader breath. So I can demonstrate, and then maybe we can practice maybe next show if we have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very fascinating. Very fascinating.
Yeah, it's basically a slow, deep breathing. Even though you cannot make sound, I recommend a student just breathe as slow as you can first, then try to even inhale and exhale.
And my understanding was, to breathe in and out, through your nostril is to help to contain the energy and heat inside your body, right?
Yeah, so if you open the mouth, like, so you lose the energy and heat,
Right.
which we try to create inside of your body during
Right.
practice. So that's
Right.
why you want to close mouth if you can.
But most of other types of exercise I've seen encourages you to breathe through your nose, but breathe out through your mouth.
Yeah.
So I know this was a very different kind of breathing technique for most
Yes.
people.
Yeah. So if you try to breathe your mouth, you would notice your mouth gets really dry.
Right.
Sometimes you're so
Right.
slow,
Right.
and your breath is shallower. So because in yoga, especially this kind of yoga, you want to do really slow, deep breathing. So nose breathing allow you to like slow and deep breathing, and also you don't get anything from
Right.
your nose
Right.
breathing is slower, deeper, and you can go really deep one. You don't need to go shallow, and you don't have to so slow.
Well, it was interesting the very first time, the very first class when I
Yeah.
took this with you. I remember this. You probably don't know that I was suffocating literally.
I know.
But you had me doing this rotational movement with my arms and my legs.
Yeah.
And you're like, breathe in and breathe. And I was like, I couldn't
I
breathe.
can't, right?
I couldn't even talk. I mean, I literally, the rotation,
Yes.
suffocated my lungs and my entire rib cage. And I
Yeah.
remember not being able to breathe, and I was actually a little bit scared.
yeah. It's really good point, especially the twisting.
Right.
Some student has panic because they can breathe.
Yes.
Sometimes I tell them for the beginners, you can breathe out your mouth if you have to, but then do really small, long breathe out.
Right.
So please don't breathe don't do that. But you can open the mouth, but especially for the rotation twist
Yes.
version, it's hard. For me, even for me, sometimes it's hard. So, but when you come to the point again, you want to defocus your deep breathing
Yes.
with the chest, and also even back.
Right.
Behind, kind of between your scapula.
Right,
Yeah, sometimes I say that. It's kind of hard to imagine, but this area of muscle, you're using whole muscle.
Right.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
breathing.
And I think that's what, really got me understanding, you know what? I keep telling my patients to take a deep breath,
Yes.
but I, have not been taking as deep a breath as I should have been until I did this yoga, and then I realized, oh, you know what? There are other ways to breathe and take a deep, use your full capacity of your lungs.
Yes. So it actually helps out because I'm practicing this yoga and breathing. I don't get cold so easily
Yes,
compared
I can
to
see that.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, because it really allows the energy to move, through your body.
Yeah.
Well, because we only have a few minutes, and I wanted to go and demonstrate some, you to demonstrate some. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to do two different moves, or two of the things that I really thought was fascinating about this, which has to do with the rotational moves.
Yeah.
And this move allows for you to, move your rib cage.
Yeah, thoracic area.
Great for golfers, by the way. If you want to improve your golfing game, this is the one move that you want to do.
Yes.
And then how it opens up your your chest and your shoulders at the same time.
Yes.
And then the second move is going to be on hip flexors.
Okay. Yeah, maybe first I can show the one probably you suffocate.
Yes.
This is called Marichasana, see very deep twist. So I think everybody see this kind of movement. So we start from here.
Okay.
So then we start go like this. So you will see this twist in the many yoga class. But Ashtanga class, we go deeper. So actually make a bind.
Beautiful.
So yeah, usually we don't really go deep twist like thoracic area, but this way you can open your shoulder and really go deep. Yeah, this is really hard to breathe posture.
Yes, but it really helped me open up my scapula, which is my shoulder blade area, and I realized that area, even when you get a massage, it does not open up the way this yoga opens it up.
And also the good point of this yoga, of course we do both sides, right?
Yes,
Light
it's
and
balanced.
left. Yeah. So some people have, this is easier, but this one I cannot go. So you
Right.
probably feel the same
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
But we do practice both sides, so we really open both sides.
Yeah, and that's a really great point. And I would like you to show us, maybe just take a moment, to help with a hip flexor
Yeah. So
part
the
of it.
easy way to start is just like this. Yeah, just bring your soles of feet together and sit on the floor. A lot of people here, maybe Hawaii people sit on the floor, but the mainland
right.
people more like on a table and chair.
Right.
But it's good to sit on just floor and then try to open hip. Then try to rotate this hip, not like this side. And then see people try to push your knee like this.
Right.
No. Your hip is from here, hip flexor, hip rotation this way. Just doing this is great. And then there's a great posture from Ashtanga. It's called Baddha Konasana. So really rotate your hip, bring your chest forward. So come forward, forward. So I really feel rotate this hip.
And really open that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is one movement. I remember, going to every time I go to Korea, and anytime we have guests, from America.
Yeah.
Well, what happens is they try to eat with us.
Yeah.
And they seriously cannot sit like this.
Yeah.
Not even for a minute, and so they'll almost always have to extend their legs out like this and
Yeah,
sit
and this
on the
really
table.
goes to your
Right.
lower back. If
Right.
you sit like that. So, and also this full lotus, people want to do this, but this
Yes.
requires a lot of hip flexor and also maybe ankle too. So if you can see, like Asian people do meditate hours and hours here, this position.
Right.
But like now modern way, we cannot really do it. But just start from here
Right.
and maybe half lotus. Yeah, one by one. Then eventually,
The full lotus.
yeah, full lotus.
Yes. So I'd love to. Has been such a fun program.
Yeah, I know. We can just keep
Yes,
going.
I know. So the second program is going to continuation. We're going to break down all the movements,
Yeah.
and then I'll explain about some of the things how this can relate to your sports activities and also your daily lives.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on this show.
thank you.
Really, really, truly appreciate it. And namaste.
Namaste.